Dun, dun, dun. I loved hearing that chime, chime, chime. Always a good thing. Always a good thing.
Yeah.
So, Alex, you survived Hershey and the Pet
We
Boarding and Daycare Expo.
we had a wonderful time there. It was
Yeah, a
great.
few chocolate martinis.
We actually are more of wine people, but we were with people that were drinking chocolate martinis.
There you go. I can so relate to that too. I'm the wine connoisseur as well. I did not partake of the chocolate martinis, but I'm always told they are decadent and delicious. So,
Yeah, I kind of max out when the hotel shampoo and soap smells like chocolate. That's enough.
oh, I so agree with you. I so agree with you. Yes, yes. Yeah, it gets to be it gets to be a little much.
Yeah,
So,
what a great conference.
yeah. We get to meet people and have conversations and learn about each other and learn about what each person is doing in the industry. And I think that um, by far is one of the best things that I enjoy about conferences.
It's all about people. Yeah,
It is. It is. I mean, we take care of dogs, but there's the human side to it. So yeah, no, I very, very much enjoy all the after hour shenanigans and the in hour shenanigans. So, yeah. All right. Got people chiming in here. Kristen is on it. She's making sure we're staying on tabs. I just had some people message, so let me quick respond to them. You know how that goes. All righty. Looks like we've got everything going. Yeah, and then next we have the Owners of Dog Daycare Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, first off, who doesn't want to go to Nashville? Between the music and the food, I love exploring in Nashville. The food there is just phenomenal. I love going in like those back door and finding some guy out there just barbecuing and like doing his thing. So it's delicious.
awesome.
And you've been to how many odds have you attended?
Uh, two or three.
Two or three. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Always in different locations, keeping us on our toes.
yeah.
It
And from what I understand, it continuously evolving.
is. It is. It's they created a legacy program, so now people that had facilities and had attended an oddball previously that had sold can come back to the oddball conference, which is great because we can still learn so much from those individuals as well. So yeah, very exciting stuff. Love it, love it, love it. That's the next thing, and you know, getting out of the frozen tundra of Wisconsin in January is always nice. To say the least, to say the least. All right. Well, I think we'll continue to let people chime in here and we will go ahead and get started. So, first off, welcome to everybody on this lovely Monday evening. If you haven't been keeping tabs on where we've all been, the Dog Handler Academy team has been busy the last several weeks. We were at the Association for Professional Dog Trainers at, in Richmond, Virginia. I gave a demo on different concepts and ideas for loose leash walking. Lots of great presenters there. My daughter Eleanor joined me. She sat in on numerous talks at the conference. Michael Shikashio is always one of her fan favorites. Then we were at the Pet Boarding and Daycare Expo in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Kristen and Tara joined us in the booth. I gave a speech on play groups and to divide or not to divide, how to ensure that you are making the right choices for your facility, and in training your staff how to create that muscle memory so that way everything that you're teaching them actually sticks and they can carry it forward. And then I got to hang out with Mr. Alex, although we only saw each other a little bit. It was such a busy trade show. um, but it was great catching up. So without further ado, I want to talk to you about Mr. Alex here. I've met him several years ago. I believe it actually was at the Pet Boarding and Daycare Expo.
Mhm.
And you had this very funky, metal and paper bowl system, and highly intrigued by it. And then we finally have been able to connect over the last year a little bit more in depth on the system that you have created. And a big part of what we want to talk about, and this feeds into you, is sustainability in pet care. Care about. We're very much aligned in that manner. Alex also wrote a fabulous book, Sustainability in Pet Care, and I'm in there, which I greatly appreciate. But lots of great pieces in there. As I read through it, I was like, I need to do that. I need to look into that. So, very intrigued by all the various ways that pet pros are really focusing on sustainability because, in a service-based industry, that's something that I think we may not actively engage in thinking about. So, very, very excited that you brought it to the forefront. So, without further ado, Mr. Alex, please tell us how you got started in this and give us your little bio background.
Sure. Well, first of all, Eve, I'm very excited to be here tonight with you and Christian, the rest of your team, and all of the people that are taking valuable time out of their later part of their day. Um, just to build a little bit on what Eve said, I have about 30 years of leadership experience with different companies around the world. I worked for Braun, the German company, in Spain, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, the United States. Worked for Gillette in the United States. And I've kind of built my career before I got into the pet industry 14 years ago. I built my career at the intersection of innovation, design, and purpose. And it's been a lot of fun leading new product development and businesses all over Europe and the United States, and always with a focus on growth that's sustainable and meaningful. Now, if you're sitting there looking at the screen right now, the guy in the blue shirt is me. And the person who is far more attractive is my lovely wife, Dee Dee. And then the black dog, her name is Skye for the Isle of Skye in Scotland, where my family comes from many generations ago. And the other one is Erin, which is Gaelic for Ireland, where Dee Dee's family originally comes from. And back in 2011, the four of us co-founded Kinn with the powerful belief that better care for pets begins with better choices for people and the planet. And we're going to spend most of the time talking about what Eve just did, which is my new book, Sustainability in Pet Care. And to start moving down that road, you might ask me, well, Alex, why in the world did you write this book? Well, I've got four answers from you for you. So the first is I've been in the industry for about 14 years. I try to listen more than I talk. So I kind of picked up on the fact that the industry lacked a shared definition of sustainability. So for tonight, we're going to go with the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. Of course, there can be healthy discussion that maybe there are other ones, and we are going to talk about some other ones. So the first reason I wrote it was to try to kind of unify us around a shared definition. The second reason is the four P's framework provides a clear, holistic model for decision making and more success. You may say, well, what in the world are the four P's? Don't worry, we're going to get into that in spades and spend a lot of time talking about it. The next reason was the goal was to move the industry from short-term fixes to long-term systems and solutions. With all of this focus these days on private equity, Wall Street, everybody's short-term, short-term, short-term. And I can tell you that's probably not the right recipe if you want to have the maximum sustainability for your pet resort. The next reason was because this sustainability helps facilities align pet care, staff well-being, environmental responsibility, and financial health. So, and then kind of building on my 14 years in the industry, I went out and I interviewed about 20 of the industry's best experts. So if you were wondering, Alex, did you write this book by yourself? The answer is absolutely not. And Eve is one of 20 something people I interviewed for the book. And I've learned a lot of in the process, and hopefully you will garner some education tonight. Um, and I'd like I think it's kind of worth repeating the four P's that I was talking about. If you were wondering what are the four P's, they are pets, people, planet, and profit. And this four P's framework makes a clear, holistic model for decision making and more success. When I mean holistic, what do I mean? Each and every one of these four P's stands strongly on their own, but they are also very tightly interconnected in many ways to make them even more powerful. If you like a shorter name, we can just go by the four P's of sustainability. If you're looking for an either even, I guess, different way to describe it, it's you're focusing on the quadruple bottom line. And if you want to learn more about the book, you can go to sustainabilityandpetcare.com. And now what I'm going to do is I was trying to think after talking to Eve at the Hershey show last week. I'm like, what's the best way to kind of communicate this book in the amount of time we have? And I think it's virtually impossible to communicate everything that I think is valuable in this book in 30 or 40 minutes tonight. So, right or wrong, what I decided to do is I thought back over the 20 something interviews I had, including with Eve, and I thought about all of those 20 interviews, and then I tried to connect the dots. And so, what I'm going to go over tonight uh, with relationship to the book is I'm going to go over the top 10 learnings that I got from the 20 best experts in pet care in the industry.
Oh, this will be good. This is going to be like, do this and think about this and beautiful. I love it.
Well, it's definitely not the only way, and I'm sure some people would take the other, but I decided let's listen to Eve and 19 or more other people and kind of connect their views. And Eve, you have anything else you want to add right now?
No, I think that's great. Like I said, when I went through the book, there was numerous pieces where I was like, I hadn't thought of that. That's genius. I need to look into that or I need to implement that. So, um, I think it's brilliant. So yeah, I'm excited to hear some of your top takeaways.
Okay, so this is the first of about 10 slides on this that I will cover. And as I said, the pets, people, planet, profits are interconnected. As one example, when you get healthier pets, that lowers staff stress, that results in using probably fewer chemicals, and it leads to cost savings. And it kind of encompasses the entire facility. And what I've decided to do, I mean, you can read this screen as easy as I can. So it's all about sustainability is holistic. The four P's matter. And what I'm going to do on this one and each one of the other nine or so slides is I'm going to tell a very brief, a very concise transformational success story. And why am I doing this? Well, I can talk about this, but if I can give you a short story, it kind of puts it a little bit more in perspective, may help you understand it a little bit more, and maybe you'll even be more likely to remember it, at least some of them. So, anyway, so the first transformational success story, which is about sustainability is holistic. The context of this story is Charlotte Biggs Pet Resort near Austin, Texas. And if you don't know Charlotte Biggs, she used to be the COO of IBPSA. She's the co-founder of PAC. She's been a dog guru for many years. And obviously, based on this story, she's had her own facilities. And so we're going to start off with Charlotte Biggs's pet resort near Austin, Texas. The conflict of the problem that she had is where her resort was located, there was no access to municipal water, and digging wells would be prohibitively expensive. So if you can't get it from the city, if you can't dig a well, what in the world are you going to do? So basically, she got together with their staff in the planning process, and they built a rainwater collection system. It may sound funky, but if you know anything about all the droughts in Texas and other places, it actually is genius. And after putting that into motion, they achieved much better pet health because the water that the dogs was drinking didn't have any chlorine, didn't have any other chemicals in it. So the pets were healthier. Once they finally got the SOPs in place for the water, they were able to operate even more efficiently. They ended up using less water, which is great for the environment. And then, very importantly, because they were using less water and they weren't paying for it, they were making a lot more profit. So, that's an example of a transformational success story. Very important. All four P's were interconnected and all four P's were improved. So now we're going to move on to the second learning, which is that long-term thinking is essential. And one of the geniuses I interviewed is Jerica Owen. She is the executive director of the National Animal Care and organization, and she sums it up in saying sustainability means long-term. Charlotte says it's a movement. And no matter who you're talking to, it's about prioritizing durable systems and design over temporary workarounds. And this next transformational success story is by Dan Poirier, and Eve knows him very well, and his new fetch and catch facility in Buffalo, New York. He and his cousin Mal started that many years ago, and they went in all in. And after working about 3 years, they've basically discovered they were in way over their head. 3 years was not enough of a frame to achieve everything they wanted to do. So they had to kind of rethink everything, rebuild their strategy based on the learning of the 3 years and where they wanted to go. And this time they recalibrated and they focused on a 10-year focus. And essentially they've done a lot of different things. They really focused on pet personalization, a lot on enrichment, and they've also done some other things we'll talk about later. So by refocusing thing, they dramatically improved their pet experience. They generated a lot less waste. And by refocusing, they made a lot more profit. And now they are the largest pet resort facility in all of the greater Buffalo, New York metropolitan area. And I've been there, and it is amazing. So again, this is an example where all four P's were interconnected and they were all improved by the end of the story. The next one may also be a little bit obvious, but it's amazing how many people in this industry do not go to conferences. So apparently, a lot of people don't believe in this, but nearly all the 20 something experts that I interviewed they strongly emphasize training and continuing education, including SOP training, which improves pet care and reduces mistakes, and obviously proper onboarding reduces turnover. The
Alex, that's really key too, like we talked about beforehand. I mean, just sitting down and talking to the other owners and managers and just getting, ideas from them like, "Oh yeah, I tried this once, it was horrible. I failed at it." Or "I tried this and it worked really good." Or, "Have you heard of this product or a company offering this service?" Like the education that you get at conferences is truly immeasurable.
Yes, and actually Eve is probably one of the most she's amazing. Eve goes to more conferences than anybody, and I'm kind of envious because she's learning so much. And again, as I said, you keep hearing that there's something like, and there are all sorts of different numbers I've heard, but somebody told me that there are 50,000, boarding facilities in this country. I can tell you this, if you go to every Hershey or Barclay show, you go to IBPSA, you go to Oddball, you go to all these conferences and you count how many attendees, it is still a tiny fraction
Oh,
the
yes.
number of. So what is kind of sad, and it's one of the reason why more facilities are not doing that well, is they don't get this. They don't get the fact that you need to invest in education. But Eve certainly doesn't have that problem. She's on the other end of the spectrum, and
I'm a nerd. I like to be educated. So for
yeah,
somebody who didn't like school, I certainly maybe it's the social aspect. I certainly love the conferences and love to learn. And you hit on, how many facilities are in the US. I mean, pet care is international. I
yeah.
don't know if we have any of our New Zealand friends on or our UK friends on, but truly, we just scratch the surface when we talk about the number of pet care facilities, because that's an international concept. I mean, from South Africa up to Alaska and everything in between. Pet care is the real deal, and providing education to those people who care for others' pets is instrumental.
And I made a serious omission on my apologies. I forgot to mention that my wife and I went to Eve's conference in Chicago
Oh,
in
yeah.
September, and it was phenomenal. It had a very unique vibe. It was kind of like it was intimate, and it was that by design, and the educational value in it was amazing. We learned a lot, and everybody we were with learned a lot. So, if you're in this industry and you're watching this webinar, I would seriously consider going next September or whenever Eve decides to have her next conference because they are very helpful.
There you go. Well, we'll throw that up at the end so everybody knows where and when. I can tell you it's in Chicago, so.
Awesome. So my transformational success story on education is with Anna Radel. And for those who go to conferences, some of you might know Anna Radel. She is the owner of Fieldstone Animal Inn in Maryland. She also has been a consultant for many years, including working for the Dog Gurus. Basically the conflict with her business was predated her. The original owner of Fieldstone Animal Inn in Maryland couldn't get it together, couldn't really solidify the business model, and was definitely not growing. And so she sold the business to Anna. Anna came in and focusing on education, especially on education to her staff in the area of enrichment. And lately, she's been adding further, I guess, juice to the recipe by throwing in a lot of AI training. And so, because of all of, and also focusing on enrichment, they also do a lot of work on better pet personalization. They also have further improved their SOPs. And very interesting, she told me that they've kind of peaked at 150 dogs a day, and they really don't want to take that many more than that. But when you add on all of these good, better, best programs, add on different enrichment offerings, just because they've been keeping the number of pet guests flat has not been true with their revenue. Their revenue and financials have continued to grow. So that's a great testimonial for doing more enrichment. And so this is another example where somebody's came in, focused on education and on the four P's, and have really made a huge difference. The next area, and we've talked a little bit about SOPs so far, and many facilities around the country have SOPs. Sometimes their SOPs work, sometimes they don't work so well. And to really have them drive efficiency and consistency, you really need to have the staff buy in. And one of the things that I learned from some of my interviews is that it is key to teach the why behind the SOPs to improve compliance and culture. And I'm going to use Charlotte Biggs again. And basically, because I'd already told you half the story, when she first started using the rainwater collection system, there was not much buy-in from the staff, and they had all sorts of issues of almost running out of water all the time. Then they got together, they got the team together, they brainstormed, they got everybody's input, they worked on the SOPs, and I guess they finally aligned on the why, and then things really started to take off. They built a, long-term, consistent performance model. They had a lot better compliance and a stronger sustainability culture. So another example of all four P's interconnected and improving.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
SOPs are super, it's one of those things like none of us want to do them. Right? It's not in our nature to like write everything out because when we get into this business, we just want to be with the dogs. Like that's our goal. But by creating those SOPs, it really does drive that efficiency and that consistency. It's super important. I had hired a woman to follow myself and my staff around for 4 days. She had a video recorder and then she had a little tape recorder, and she just followed us around for 4 days, and that's how we created our SOPs. So it worked. And now we have it on Dog Handler Academy. You can actually purchase my SOPs as a starting point for you to get those done. So for anybody doesn't have SOPs, has no idea where to start, we do offer that in our supplements off of our webpage.
Awesome. And Eve, I don't think you should go very far when you see what the next thing I'm talking about. So the next lesson is building and design decisions have long-term impact. For those of you who have done it the other way, you know that poor design increases disease spread and long-term cost, whereas efficient layouts and durable materials and proper drainage do matter. And the smart design prevents expensive illnesses and outbreaks. So, for the transformational success story, and some of you may think I'm crazy for giving this story right here, because I can guarantee you there's at least one more person on this Zoom that could do this story way better than I can. So, the context is Eve's first facility in Wisconsin. And
Yes.
from what I understand, that was approximately a dozen or so years ago. And at that point in time, she didn't have a job, so she couldn't get a loan. So she went out and somehow finagled getting 12 different credit cards. And she was able to raise $50,000 off of 12 credit cards. And she decided to rent a 15,000 square foot warehouse. And she was very clever about this, very smart with the design. She realized the obvious that it is Wisconsin, so the winters are very cold. And this warehouse only had one furnace and it had one toilet. And $50,000, depending on how you look at it, was either a lot or a little, but I think we all know that it probably won't go that far. But
Nope.
she kind of focused on the fact there was one furnace, one toilet. Then she went out and kind of collaborated with two local automobile dealers who were I'm sorry, who were renovating their properties, and she talked them into giving her things like door hardware, signs, and other things for free because now they wouldn't have to pay anybody to haul them away. So she was very frugal, she was very smart, and she got the money that she had, she got some free stuff that she could, and then she focused on building around that one furnace and one toilet. And it was a beginning. It was a great
Right.
beginning. Another lesson that don't try to do everything right at the beginning because you're going to make mistakes. And it's amazing because she was a great start and she really began to scale. And then 12 years later, she has massive success. with pets, people, planet, and profits. However, as I learned from Eve, there are always different ways to look at this. And so what Eve educated me on is she's is not a surprise. She's more efficient than me. I need 4 words. She can do it in 3. So she said her 3 components of sustainability are recycle and repurpose, homeopathic care, and efficiencies. And that works as well. And Eve, I don't want to butcher anything. So anything you'd like to add to that story?
Yeah, no, it's uh the key is when you're first starting out in the industry, safety. Safety is big. So I always look at staff safety, dog safety, and facility safety. And in that order, by the way, staff safety, dog safety, facility safety. And so, yeah, I mean, I bootstrapped my first location and the build out, but I always had that in mind. And I think that's the key because if you are always focusing on the safety, everything else is going to work out. I was in an ugly old white brick food warehouse, but because we focused on safety and that was what we promoted was safety, the dogs came and 12 years later were great. And, but yeah, focusing on that safety and especially in that the layout piece to it. And the other part of that, and this also kind of ties into your SOPs, is efficiency. What's the most efficient design and layout? Making sure all of your plumbing is in one area of your building. Uh, it makes it more affordable. Two, if there's ever a problem, it's all centrally kind of located. So I did that when I built my second facility. My grooming, my laundry, my wash basins are all in the same corridor. So then that way, if there's ever a problem, it's easier to get to, fix, maintain. So really always keeping those things in mind. But yeah, no, it's I'm still amazed that how right I got it and the little things that, I had to tweak along the way. So, yeah.
Good for you. Um, if we move on to the next area, financial planning and profitability enables
Mm.
sustainability. As Eve and my mutual friend Dom Hodgson says, without margin, there is no mission. So premium pricing and niche services support is really something you need to look at to fully develop your sustainability. The transformational success story that I want to talk to you about is ABC Pet Resort in Houston, Texas. I've known them for about 14 years. The original owners, Al and Suzanne Locker, had a conflict or a challenge on they had grown the business for over 20 years and didn't want to be around for another 20. So they had to figure out, well, where do I go from here? And they knew they needed strong financial management. So they hired Jennifer Wolf Pearson, which many of you who go to conferences know as a great speaker. And she has a great financial background. She came in, brought in SOPs, brought in processes, brought in financial planning for all of these things. And she ended up achieving huge improvements in pet health, SOPs for all people processes. She brought in green products and they achieved better profits, which led to them being bought by Best Friends in April of this year. So all the work paid off. They got paid a lot of money earlier this year. And again, all 4 of the P's were interconnected and improved. And the next one, and I need to be very respectful here because I'm going to give an example of Pack Pro, and Eve's team offers also some great staff training. So
We're
this is
all friends. We're all friends.
okay. So, and from what I've heard, sometimes they can be complementary in some ways. So the success story is that Dan and Mal Poirier, when they launched Pack Pro, they, as I mentioned to you previously, they had been in business. They had made so many mistakes in 3 years. They kind of recorded all of those, and they packaged up these learnings and from his own facilities and built an online training tool. And this has helped them and others who have used it to achieve better outcomes for all four Ps. And again, something that can be used for the training needs, and maybe in addition to what you would use from Eve's team. And I think I'm getting close to, okay. So the next area is reduced waste through smarter operations. Basically, the story I'm going to tell now is from Jess Oken. Many of you people who go to conferences might know Jess from Blue Nine. She also does a lot of dog training and consulting. She used to run a facility in South Florida. The problem that she ran into there is her employees use concentrated cleaning supplies straight out of the bottle with no dilution. This caused tons of problems. So she finally sat down with the team and they came up with a metered dispensing system, and this immediately turned everything around. They achieved better pet health. They finally had the right SOPs for using a meter dispensing system. And the containers that they were using for the cleaning materials, they used to launch 1 week, and now with the new metered system, instead of 1 week, they were lasting 3 weeks. So they were getting massive improvements and profits as well. So that's another example. And the next one I want to go to is staff well-being is critical to operational sustainability. As many of you know, burnout and turnover are major operational risk. And I'm going to use another story from ABC Pet Resort. And you might say, Alex, can't you be creative? Can't you be original? Why don't you use somebody else's? Well, I'm going to justify why I'm going to use the second story from ABC Pet Resort. I've known them for about 14 years, and this year, IBPSA named ABC Pet Resort as the #1 pet resort in the entire world. So you figure if they're the #1 resort in the world, all of us, including me, probably have something else we can learn from them. So in this transformational success story, the issue was how to sustain growth. We talked about that a little bit earlier in transitioning from the owners to Jennifer Wolf Pearson on I guess focusing on the staff well-being side. When Jen came in, she had a lot of people leadership experience, and she significantly strengthened their culture, focusing on a high touch management style, which means that she was spending time getting to know people, their personalities, how they work, how they don't work well, and really making people her #1 priority. The outcome of that was that they got much better results from teamwork. The pets were happier, and as I said, they were sold earlier this spring, and they became the #1 pet resort in the world. And the last kind of the top 10 learnings from the 20 experts I spoke to. And I do want to point out that when I did interview the 20 something people, a lot of them focused on pet resorts, and I imagine most of you work for or own your own pet resorts. But some of them also were for animal shelters, and this may skew a little bit more to that side of the fence. But basically, I learned from quite a few people that community engagement and spiritual connection can really strengthen a business purpose. And the transformational success story I'm going to tell you about is from Animal Care and Control here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live. And the conflict was they were kind of underdeveloped in terms of community engagement. They've done a lot of great things over the past several years. And one of them that I was involved with is they partnered with the pet ministry at Covenant Presbyterian Church, which my wife and I founded 4 years ago. And that partnership between animal care and control and our pet ministry produced significant improvements in outcomes for animal care and control. They had better animal health. They had more volunteers to support the staff. It improved their overall environmental footprint and it improved their financial productivity. So that's kind of the last thing in terms of the book. And what I would like to do is spend a lot less time. But Eve, do you have anything you want to add before I spend a few minutes talking about our product?
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to that community engagement and that connection and that purpose, your staff will buy into it, and your staff want to know that you're in it for more than just, the money, which I don't know of any of us that run daycare and boarding that are not private equity companies. Like, we all get into it because of the dogs, but giving your staff that why, and having things outside of your business for them to be a part of is huge. Now, whether that's you grabbing a few staff and going and donating your time, energy, and effort, you could do where you donate $100 to something that the staff choose. So all the staff each month could, write down a nonprofit that they want to give the money to. And then if that's the nonprofit that gets chosen, that staff member can go and donate the money to that. So those two things go hand in hand. They always say good karma, but it's true that your staff want to be part of the bigger picture. And so however you can include them in on those things does come back to you tenfold in them wanting to be a part of what you're creating.
Amen. It's also just the right thing to do, right?
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. And your staff, they don't know where to start. They don't know how to be, most likely a part of something. So by you giving that opportunity to them, it opens up their world as well. So no, that's huge. I'm big into all of those things, and Reiki and all those types of things as well. So I like to do all the fun things with the dogs and the staff. Bring it all together.
Okay. Uh,
Yes, so let's learn.
okay. We're going to move on to a shorter section on our product. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, I was asked to speak today on our why. So, why did my wife and I and our two dogs start Kinn 14 years ago? Well, when we went out and worked with veterinarians and pet resorts in California, we found out that shared bowls were spreading illness and creating unnecessary stress and labor cost. We learned that washing bowls consumes a lot of time, a lot of chemicals, and hot water without always providing the outcomes that people wanted. And there was really an unmet need for healthier, cleaner, more efficient feeding systems. So we founded Kinn 14 years ago to support better pet health and hydration, lower staff workload and burnout, reduced environmental impact, long-term operational sustainability, and to really condense it, what our message is, our why to consumers is healthier pets create stronger bonds. And we'll try to go through this quickly because we know it's late in the day. If you're not familiar with our product, we have a product called the Clean Bowl. We have a sugarcane fiber refill which sits on the ground and holds food and water equally well. The stainless steel frame makes the refill virtually spill-proof. The Clean Bowl system is for eating and drinking with dogs and or cats or bunnies or even others. And the germ-free is germ-free and cleaner than any other solutions requiring washing. And you might say, well, how in the world does this work? So basically, this is a graphic, and hopefully this will help you understand how it works. So the dog or the cat checks in at a boarding facility. The frame or frames are assigned to the pet guest for the duration of the stay. So there's never any sharing between dogs or cats. The refills are changed after meals and once a day it's switched out for water. If you needed, and this is a minority of cases, you can wipe the frame clean. And then when the refills are done, you can compost them, you can recycle them as long as they don't have too much food residue, and you can even throw them in the trash, all of which reduce environmental waste versus washing. And the replacing the refills eliminates 100% of the germs, including the ones that dishwashers don't get hot enough to clean. And very importantly, as dogs and cats can smell, Clean Bowl is free from cleaning chemical residue and germs. They typically are more likely to eat their food, drink their water, and benefit from a reduction in cross-contamination. And then only at the very end, when and only after the pet checks out, that's when the frames are sanitized. Eve,
Okay.
anything you want to add?
Yeah. So question. Um, our health department talks to us, and you were hitting on the chemical piece. So I know our health department has said that we have to abide by the same as restaurants when we clean the bowls. So that's a 3 sink unit. Hmm. So wash, rinse, and then sanitize in bleach water. And although it's not supposed to be a lot, I mean, that bleach water, that bleach sticks to the bowls. So you brought up a very good point of, the dogs have way better snouts than we do. So most likely are smelling those chemicals that are on those metal bowls or ceramic bowls or even plastic bowls, whatever bowls you're using. And that might be why maybe the dogs don't drink as much water. We've all heard the pet parents say, "Oh, my dog goes home and it's so thirsty. Did you feed it any water?" No, ma'am, I didn't. There was no water anywhere in the facility. So what you're saying brings up a very valid point to that. So because it's made out of that sugarcane fiber, so is there no smell or it's an inviting smell?
Well, to be honest with you, and I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being honest. I wish I was Dr. Doolittle and could ask them all. Um,
Valid point.
no, 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 but I'm not trying to be a smart ass. We believe that it is probably a neutral smell to them, or if anything, it's a slight positive smell because just like Pepsi does the Pepsi challenge on TV, where you get to choose between Pepsi and Coke, we do have something called the Clean Bowl Challenge, and we will refund your money if you buy our product and your dog chooses to drink out of their ceramic, their plastic, or their ordinary bowl over a clean one, a clean bowl. So
Interesting.
we are we're not 100%, but we've been pretty happy with that. And ultimately, if the dogs do, especially if they have stress anxiety or whatever, separation anxiety, it's important that they eat their food when they're staying with you. So, and the water.
100%.
Um, Thank you very much for that comment. So that's basically how it works. Why it works is if you run a boarding facility, you'll know a lot more about this than me. But basically, you're typically going to be cleaning 2 food bowls and 1 water bowl per day. So that's 3 per day times a 4-day average stay. So 4 times 3 is 12. So with our system, you go from 12 down to washing just 2 frames when they check out. And these dishwashing time savings are typical several hours per day. And this can allow you to repurpose cleaning time for more enrichment time, which creates better outcomes for dogs, the staff, the planet, and your profit. And if you're curious about how much this might help, if you can write this down, cleanbowlestimator.com, and clean bowl has a K. So cleanbowlestimator.com, if you go and enter your own data in there, it will tell you how much time we guarantee we will save you. It dollarizes that, and it also tells you how much you're going to be saving in terms of waste, electricity, and some other environmental things. And to try to wrap things up, you might say, well, what do facilities really think about Ken Cleanable? Alex, you're biased. You run the company. Yes, I am biased. So the third transformational success story tonight from ABC Pet Resort, which IBPSA named as the #1 pet resort in the world. When they used to have issues with staff retention, pets not drinking and eating, and their financials were not as efficient as they wanted them to be. When Jen was brought on, she brought on the Kinn Clean Bowl, and they have solved all those problems. That doesn't mean they don't have any problems, but they've solved those major ones. And that played some role in helping them to be one of the top resorts in the country and got them sold for this year. The next one is Candace Brock she owns 2 resorts in North Carolina. And basically, we helped them achieve 10 years in a row being the best of the community pet resort and trying to be sensitive to your time. The last one of these, and the reason I want to talk to this one, it kind of goes back to what Eve is saying. Laura, if you went to the Hershey conference last week, Laura Yost, you might know her. She owns 2 Playful Pups Retreat. The reason switched to Ken Clean Bowl is because she saves so many hours every day that they repurpose into enrichment. And she also was very skeptical, but she had lots of dogs that weren't really eating. And she put the clean bowl down on the ground, put the ordinary stainless steel down on the ground, and they ate out of our system. And that's why she's still a strong client today. And now to wrap up this, if any of you are interested in sampling Ken Clean Bowl, if you use the coupon code TRY Test Kit, you can get free shipping, and a test kit has one each of the 4 sizes of the frames, 450 packs of refills. It's $95 if that's of interest. And this is really helpful to help you decide, A, do you and your staff like it? And B, which sizes do you want or need? If you already know what sizes you need, here are 3 different coupon codes to get a free 500 pack of refills when you buy frames. And then let's say you've got some Scottish blood, which I do, and I totally respect. If you're not ready to invest money yet to make money, or maybe times are tight, you can enter for free this raffle we're having. If you just enter your information here, we're having a raffle, and we will draw a winner from one of you attendees tonight to get a test kit for free. And then the last thing, which is kind of what we spent most of the time on, is if you're interested in learning more about the book, Sustainability in Pet Care, you can go to sustainabilityatpetcare.com, or you can scan this QR code. I wanted to thank all of you for all of your time and attention. And if you have any questions and Eve wants to stay on for a little bit longer, I'm happy to stay here for as long as you need.
Yep, certainly put the questions in the chat and we'll get those addressed. So, Alex, I want to go back to the time study, so to speak. Um, some of the facilities that are using your products, have they given you like an average of how many minutes that it saves them, or hours? Like, have they given you some actual quantifiable times?
Yes. So, and obviously, every single pet resort is different. Other than PetSmart's locations, they may have 200 that are very similar, but even theirs are different. But so with the caveat that everyone is different, um, what we've been told is we typically save them about 4 hours a day. And if they have somewhere between 50 and 100 dogs, we typically save them 4 hours every day. The we also have on our website, we have a whole page on time studies. So if you're skeptical, you can go on there, you can download, and I would actually encourage anybody here to do time studies, not just for their bowls, but basically for any of your major processes that you have, because time is the most valuable thing you have. And I mean, so to answer your question, we've been told the average savings is kind of like 4 hours per day. And that can, you can get quite a
That's
bit.
significant.
You can
That's
get
significant.
you can get a lot done. And then we've had people all over the place in terms of how long it currently takes them to clean their ordinary bowls. We've been told the fastest we've ever been told is 2 minutes, which
Mm,
seems really fast when you have to include the transportation. You have to send somebody out to the enclosure, bring it in to the kitchen or whatever, and then you need to do the various cycle. You have to do three different cycles where you are, Eve. And even if you're using a commercial dishwasher, it typically takes at least 10 minutes. So if you go in there and do the math and say it's taking me 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, do your math. And we're pretty confident that even after you pay for the one-time charge of the frames, and yes, you do continue to pay for the refills, even after paying for those, on average, we will save you 20 to 40% in
wow,
both product cost, materials, and time.
that's amazing. Yeah, I did a time study a few years back, and we no longer fold clothes. You know, the sheets and the blankets that the dogs utilize. First off, they don't care if they're wrinkled, right? Like
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
comes through and is like, that has a wrinkle, that has a wrinkle, right? Like they don't care. But yeah, so to fold one of the baskets of laundry was anywhere from 8 to 14 minutes. We now just have giant Rubbermaid garbage cans. And this is flat sheets, fitted sheets, big blankets, small blankets, rags, towels. And so you just stand there and you quick throw them out, and you can actually do an entire basket in under 6 minutes. So take that cost savings. We do 22 loads of laundry a day. Again,
It's huge.
hours of cost savings. Occasionally, I'll catch a new person folding, and I'll be like, "Please don't ever let me see you do that again." Like it breaks my heart. Um, truly. Um, and I think that's where it comes into your profit piece of your four P's
Mm.
is when we talk about profit, people immediately think of, oh, I need to have a new service. I need to have a new offering. I need to raise prices. But truly increasing profit is very easy if you reduce costs.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
as you know better than me, sometimes it's even more efficient than raising your prices and other things. So
oh, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And what more can your staff be doing? Taking better pictures for social media, which is going to increase your marketing, which will increase, more clients, which increases revenue, right? Um, Adding enrichment, adding different services. So there's so many different things. I mean, I'm just sitting here going, gosh, 4 hours. There's so much more I could do with 4 hours in a day with my staff. Give them more training, all of those types of things. So that's like super, super amazing. If somebody was looking to start out with the system, like what's your recommendation if they want to dip their toe in the water? Obviously, the starter pack. Um, but if somebody had, should they base it on they should have uh, each size for each suite that they offer? Is there some
well,
logic in there on what people should look at?
like I was describing how you bought that where started to rent that warehouse. So you picked. We think it's better to start small, and we do recommend that people buy the test kit because it gets it it's something they can open up. It's there on the counter, there on the table. They can the staff can provide their input, and the real benefit is that helps you decide, do you want to try just one size? Do you want to the short answer, I wouldn't try all four. That's too much. I think I would start out with one or two sizes, and some people just start with the 32 ounce. It's the largest one. And that's typically a smart choice because it works equally well for food and water. It accommodates a greater range of dogs because you're far less likely to have a dog that's too big for that. However, if they tend to have more smaller dogs, I would do the 16 ounce. I would start out with probably just food and I would see how it goes. And another reason you should do it for food is you're washing two food bowls a day. You're only washing one water bowl. If you can, with one new purchase, save two washings, where you're being more efficient. So I would start off on the food side. I would start off with one size, either the 32 or the 16. I would do time studies before you buy it with the ordinary bowls, and I would do time studies. And if it doesn't work, let us know. And we have a 90-day money back guarantee. That doesn't happen very often. And very kind of back to what we were talking about during a lot of the time tonight, we have an 8-minute training video. So it's
Nice.
cleanballstafftraining.com, cleanballstafftraining.com. It's also on our website. And what this means, if you can get one of your staff members to sit down with their phone or their laptop or whatever they use, and just 8 minutes of their undivided attention, they will understand um, why you want to use this, how are you going to use it, and what it's going to do. And we also have a whole client services page, and everything on there is free. We have downloadable PDFs, we have downloadable videos. All of these are to help you train and educate your staff on how to be more successful with all four Ps.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Um, I'm also looking at flipping through here. Let's talk about wet food in your bowls. So, the new push now with food is raw.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on is anything from the raw, like the acidicness of meat or anything, going to affect the bowls?
Well, that's a great question. We've been selling them for 14 years, and when we first started selling, there were a lot of people in the raw food industry that were interested in it. I think it was due to some of the concerns that raw food, if it's not handled carefully, can have some risk associated with it. Um, but to answer your question, raw food is not going to disintegrate the sugarcane fiber. It's not going to leak. It'll work just fine. But to be totally transparent, you're probably not going to be able to curbside recycle it. You can compost it and you can throw it in the garbage. And I don't like telling people to throw things in the garbage because we've been proud members of the Pet Sustainability Coalition out of Boulder, Colorado for over 10 years. But they did a life cycle analysis that shows even if you throw our sugarcane fiber refills in the garbage, it's still going to reduce your environmental footprint versus washing. And the reason why with washing, you're using water, you're using electricity. Somebody is probably burning coal to heat the water. There are chemicals involved and all of that stuff, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you don't even think about all the different things that go into it,
Mhm.
um, that have that effect. So, no, I
And
love it.
another thing I talked about, because I know people are skeptical, and it's healthy to be skeptical. Um, if you're on the fence about this, you can buy, one frame, 50 refills off of Amazon. You'll pay twice as much to buy them on Amazon because we sell smaller consumer units, and when you buy for a boarding facility, you're buying in bulk, and you're saving 50%. But if you're curious, buy it, and I challenge you to do the clean balls. I would start with water first, but you can also do it with food. Buy one, take it home, and try it for the cat or the dog. Put the same food or the same water in both their existing bowl. Put it in the clean bowl. Let them into the kitchen or wherever you feed them, and let them choose. And I think you'll be amazed. And if you're having trouble sleeping, we have like 80 videos of consumers doing that on our website. So
Nice. Nice, very nice. Like it. I think those were the big ones. Any chemicals that should not be used when cleaning the frames, like don't use a hydrogen peroxide or a bleach or anything like that for cleaning the frames.
Well, I need to be very careful here because this is we we typically tell people to make that decision themselves. We're not
Sure.
because we're not an expert. I can tell you this though, we have had people kind of like Jess Oken had the problem with cleaning materials, not diluting them. If you don't dilute the cleaning chemicals, I mean, I'm assuming some of the cleaning chemicals you do need to dilute, and you do need to be very careful to do that at the right proportions, or else it's not going to work.
Sure.
And you really don't want to have too few chemicals because then it's not going to do its job. But on the other hand, if you use too many chemicals, it's going to alienate a lot of your dogs and they're not going to want to drink or eat out of it. And nobody wants that to happen.
Right. Hey, in Dog Handler Academy 101, we go over proper dilution rates.
Yeah,
So, and have that conversation. All right. We have a question. Uh, we all have destructive dogs in our resorts. What is the trend of the dogs flipping the bowls and consuming them?
that is a great question. So, here's what I think is the most pertinent information. Uh, Dogs do eat our refills. They are 100% natural and non-toxic. So what's going to happen is the dog is going to poop them out. We've been selling them. We
Mm.
sell to all 50 states. We've been selling them for 14 years. Thank the Lord, we've never gotten a report of a dog being injured or worse. There have been some surprises when clients pick up their dog, take them home, and then they go out in the backyard and there's some white stuff in the poop, but they will poop it out. We tend to hear from our clients that our frames are about 95% effective, meaning the unruly dogs like the Huskies and some of the German Shepherds, they will flip it over. We have actually a document on our client resource page, which I was talking to, that gives you some tips and tricks to make them even more unlikely to flip over. One of them is to put a frame on the ground, put a refill on top, and put a second frame on top. It's called a clean bowl sandwich.
Love
It's
it.
okay if a client in Dallas, Texas taught us that. It's okay if you only have to do it one out of every 20, but we don't
Right.
want anybody to have to do that too often because then we're making them buy a second frame. But that they told us that stopped the dogs from flipping. But let's be honest, there are always some unruly dogs out there. So if you're getting 90 to 95% of the dogs are having a good experience, there might be 5 to 10% where it's not going to work out, and that does happen.
No, most definitely. There's always that one dog. Um, how long can the bowls hold water?
That's a great question. If you, it'll hold the water until it evaporates. And so,
Oh,
for example, if you have it on a kitchen counter or wherever you want to be, fill it up with water and then just, it'll take several days until it evaporates. Um, I guess the follow-on question to that is how often, how long is the refill going to last in a pet resort environment? Basically, we recommend you switch out the refills every day, once a day, and that you can refill it as many times as you want. The reason we
okay.
recommend switching out after one day is it will not have holes in it, it will not be leaking, but it will be soggy.
Okay.
And after about 24 hours, the bacteria, even though it's the dog's same bacteria that comes off their tongues when they're drinking, it starts to form some funky things in there, which can deter them from drinking water, which is defeating the
Mm.
process. So we would recommend you switch it out after a day. And actually, we've learned recently from some clients that had, I think it was extra hard water, or maybe it was soft, and it was accentuating some of the trends. And in that case, they actually used two refills, and they would use one, and they had another one beneath it to make it more durable, more stable.
Hmm.
And then you may say, well, now you're charging me twice as much, but then they just flip it over, and then they use the other one on top of the other. So they're actually not spending more money, but they're making them more durable by using two of them. Does that make any sense?
Yep, yep, I totally get it.
Yeah,
Totally get it. That's like, having your dinner plate and your dessert plate, and then when you're done, you just flip them one over the other one, and now you've got the fresh plate for your dessert. Totally get
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Get the concept. And for us, um, at least at my facility for the water bowls, twice a day I want them dumped and refreshed. So, just because of slime, right? Like the dogs are
yeah,
drooling and they get all that slime in there, and that's disgusting. I think all of our parents at some point yelled at us about backwash. Don't backwash
yeah,
in my beverage. You can't have any
yeah.
more of this. So that, kind of has always stuck with me. And so that's always been our rule. So then with these bowls, I wouldn't have to worry about that. We would just replace those then, each day. And then that too is going to save time instead of my staff taking the bowl, dumping it out, doing a wipe, putting it back, refilling.
Yeah, and another thing we do suggest that people measure, and maybe I shouldn't bring it up because it's a sensitive point, but if a facility has been having more outbreaks,
Mm,
more illnesses, we would suggest that they write that down and record it. And we have had quite a few clients who said they had noticeable improvements in fewer outbreaks. And if you think about it, and a lot of outbreaks is transmitted through the air and has nothing to do with bowls. But there are quite a few diseases which can be and are, I guess, communicated through water bowls. So that's something else to watch and to measure. And that is not only very important, most healthy for the dog, but there are all four P's will be benefiting again.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Sounds good. All right. Looks like I have gone through everybody's questions. Double checking that I got them all. I did. I did. All right, Mr. Alex, anything that we forgot to ask you about? Anything that we forgot to cover? We got the codes. Definitely get the book so you can learn all about the individuals that he talked about, and also what all everyone has done to really focus on pets, people, planet, and profits. So, anything else that we didn't want specifically hit that you wanted to make sure that we covered tonight?
I just wanted to thank you and everybody who is taking their valuable time to listen. And we hope that you and your teams and your pets got something out of it. And let's all keep trying to learn and focus more on education.
100%, 100%. Leave the world a little bit better than the day you entered it, so to speak. So perfect. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to contribute to the book in my ways, and I look forward to seeing you here in a couple of months.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Eve, and thanks, Christian, and to all your team for putting this together. All right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know Team Dog Handler Academy is rocking it on the daily, let me tell you. So, all right, everybody, take care and have a great night, and we will see you all real soon.